Thank you for joining me in the Quip Corner today. I have the pleasure of speaking to a best-selling author. It is truly a privilege. Join me and hear more about her and her book. See you in a bit. Welcome to the Quip Corner.
Hi, how are you doing today?
Great. It's truly a pleasure to have you in the Quip Corner with me. And you and I have had a few conversations, we've exchanged emails, but the people all over the world who will be watching this video will be like, looks like Ada has a guest in the Quip Corner. I wonder who that is. So, who are you?
Well, thank you so much for having me. I greatly appreciate the opportunity. I am Alston Shropshire. I am the author of Prayers and Wisdom from Grandma's House. This is my actual first book. I'm working on my second, but this is my first little baby that I gave birth to out of a tragedy, but God led me to do this. So I'm excited to be here, and this is a wonderful opportunity.
Yes, indeed. We're excited to have you here. From Grandma's House. Can you tell us the backstory to this book?
The backstory to this book, it all stands on the prayers of my grandmother, Rosa Alston Frazier, and the prayers that she instilled in me growing up in the house. Every day she read the Bible. Every day she talked about God and his grace and his goodness and his mercies. She would fast and pray. So I learned about that early on, and she would always have me in tow going to church. And sometimes as children, we stray from those things. But even though you stray, it'll have to come back full circle at some point. And so I wanted to do an homage to her to pretty much say, hey, I never forgot those prayers and those things that you were doing. And they helped me so much along the way.
Wow. That's so encouraging. You know, it's interesting how our parents, grandparents sow seeds and we get the harvest later.
Absolutely. I am definitely reaping the harvest or the benefit of the prayers that she has prayed for me. And sometimes it's not necessarily the prayers that we are praying, but the prayers of our ancestors that has covered us throughout our journey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I really like the fact that you're using this book to also honor your grandma, because too many times not too many times, but some people don't recognize or appreciate all that their parents and grandparents have done for them. So thank you for doing that.
Oh, yes. I think that you must remember and you must recognize the sacrifices that they have made, and there would be no us without them. And one part of the book is called Full Circle. So one day you're going to be a parent.
Yep.
One day you're going to be a grandmother.
Yep.
And it's, if you don't reflect before you get to that point, you will surely reflect in that moment of, hey, what has look at all of the things I have done to my mother or said to my mother or my grandmother, the countless things that I've put them through. How did they make it through all of that? How am I going to make it? Yeah. And then that's when you have to fall back on, hey, I saw grandma praying. I saw my mother praying. So you have to go back and lean on those things.
Yes, that is so nicely put. Full circle. Your book is sounding more and more interesting as I just listen to you speak. Mm-hmm. Please read a portion of your book to us.
I am going to actually read Full Circle, a paragraph from that particular portion. And it says, as a child has their full circle, which will be when they become a parent, the parent too will have their full circle moment as they have children. The realization comes later on while you're in the other phase of your life. We all need to consider that in life, everybody has their crosses to bear, even children. We all need to be prepared and equipped for the thing that life brings.
Mhm.
No, we may not face all of the same storms, but a storm we will face. Learn to pray. Don't just listen to the prayers of grandmas, embody them, because the wisdom being passed on is to encourage you. The source she is trying to lead you to is there to help, protect, and give you strength. If you didn't call on the name Jesus as a child, even in a breakfast prayer, you will most unquestionably call on his name at some point in life.
That is so deep and so true. Thank you so much for sharing that from your book. Some people will be listening and they'll be like, wow, yeah, I got a couple storms myself, and maybe I haven't let all that has happened in my life, watching my parents pray or my grandparents pray sink in. And they'd be like, Alston, I need a copy of this book. How can I get one? Preferably an autographed copy. So how, Alston?
More accessibly will be Barnes and Noble, any online retailer. They will have the actual book, but for a autograph copy, sometimes I have those. I run out of those really, really quickly, um, because everyone wants the autograph copy, and I understand that I do package them really nice, and sometimes I give other things. Sometimes you may get a gift card or a blessing, or it just depends on how the spirit moves me.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I do have those on hand, and sometimes I give away a lot of the books as well.
Okay. Thank you. That's helpful. And so we'll put in the details of how people can get copies of your book, including, the online stores, and then, of course, your website.
Yes.
So what message do you have for potential readers of your book?
The first message I have for the readers of the book, and it's something that my grandmother instilled in me, and that is to, no matter what the situation or the circumstance is, always do the right thing.
Hmm.
Always do the right thing, because God is looking at you and how you handle the situation, and you still want your blessing. So it doesn't matter how someone treated you or how bleak it looked. You do the right thing and allow God to handle the rest. The other thing that I would say I want someone to realize about the book is that everyone has a story.
Hmm.
The person that you're upset with, they have a story, so you don't know why they act the way they act.
Yeah.
Your mother has a story.
Yeah.
Your grandmother has a story. Your husband has a story. So until you get to the bottom of the story, you
Mhm.
really don't have an understanding of that person. So
Yeah.
take time to learn the story, and it'll help you appreciate them, and it may help you speak about your story and your truth as well.
Yeah. Wow. That is so, so true. One of the authors I had interviewed earlier, she was talking about how she felt led to write her story. And I was thanking her for doing that, because a lot of times when we tell our stories, we enrich the world that way. So it's really good to hear that your advice to people is, slow down and learn what that person's story is, because it will then very likely change our outlook and even our response to the individual. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah.
Yes, I think growing up and back in the days, as we would say, that people didn't speak a lot about what happened, and a lot of people just didn't have conversation within families.
Yeah.
So you just moved throughout the family without a lot of answers. And I think now is the time to have these conversations,
Mhm.
address these issues, continue to pray and be open about praying and be open about how you made it through. And so I think that is definitely an important thing to start doing, is having conversations.
I agree. I agree. Yes. You're spot on when you talk about back in the day, because it's almost as if there was an era where everything was veiled. It's like, oh, we can't tell the truth about this. We can't. And in veiling those things, more lives are destroyed because nobody has the lessons to learn from.
Exactly. They don't have the lessons. They don't know what worked and what didn't work
Yep. Yep.
to get through a situation. They just see things being repaired, and things don't repair themselves. You have to work at it, and you have to pray about it, and you have to go through. Everyone has a learning experience,
Yeah.
and I think we should all share our learning experience, so either the next person doesn't make the same mistake, or at least you know how to go about getting to your final destination.
Yes, that is so true. The author I spoke to yesterday was talking about how it's important that we get things right from the start, especially when we're thinking of our children. We have those conversations, open and honest conversations early, so we're not saddled with chaos later in their lives.
Absolutely.
Same message, same
Absolutely.
message. Yeah.
And I think within our culture, what usually happens is that a lot of things come out at the funeral. So all of the all of the secrets come out at the funeral, and you know, and it's the person that's laying there is not able to get
Respond.
it straight, right? Respond or get it straight, or say, hey, this is my story. Let me tell you the story. So you have a
Yes.
lot of different moving parts. And it's, people be quiet when the matriarch is still there. And then once the matriarch is gone, then it's all, all hands on deck with as far as conversation without the
Yes.
full understanding. So I think if we have conversations while the matriarchs are still here and while people are still alive, it will diffuse a lot of unnecessary situations.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Oof. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's packed. It's packed. Thank you so much for being my guest in the Quip Corner. I have thoroughly enjoyed chatting with you.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. Anytime you need me, I'm here for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that too. So, what did you think? It was great listening to Alston. And I like the similarity between some of the things she said and what Brett said yesterday. Indeed, we need to have some of those conversations early. We need to, like Ms. Janine said, tell our stories. Yes, these are all videos that, feel free to scroll through and watch. The point is, through our books, we can make even greater impact. So, of course, the bio of our next guest will show up when I'm done talking. See you tomorrow. Bye now.